shell, forcing him to acknowledge the physical toll of his stress. The reality is far darker than a simple bad call. Lucy is exactly 7 years old, the same age Gallo's sister was when she perished in a fire that destroyed their family. The coincidence acts as a brutal trigger, resurfacing a grief he thought was buried. Gallo eventually learns the fire wasn't the mother's fault, but a gas leak. This clarity shifts his focus from blame to presence. He returns to the pediatric intensive care unit, carrying a new butterfly pattern blanket to replace what the flames took. He stands outside the glass, watching the monitors. He stops running from the memory of his sister and chooses to stay for Lucy. It is not a miracle, but a quiet, stubborn refusal to let another 7-year-old girl face the darkness alone. Firefighters arrive at a barricaded door. Inside, a woman screams that a man has stopped breathing. The team uses a Halligan tool, driving the steel wedge into the frame and prying the door open with raw force. They find the first victim, but the primary threat is in the unit below. An arsonist has turned a drug den into a furnace. A gasoline can sits in the middle of the room as flames climb the walls. The team pushes into the basement through thick, blinding smoke. They use thermal imaging cameras to locate a heat signature on the floor. It is Travis. He is unconscious and covered in soot. As they roll him over, they find a gunshot wound in his abdomen. He set the fire to avenge his girlfriend's death, but the dealers shot him before the building ignited. The structure begins to fail. Firefighters grab Travis and drag him through the narrow hallway as the basement reaches a flashover point. They clear the entrance seconds before the windows shatter from the heat and pressure. On the pavement, paramedics assess the damage. Travis is losing blood and his lung is collapsing. A paramedic identifies a tension pneumothorax. She plunges a large bore needle into his chest to decompress the air. A sharp hiss escapes his lungs as his chest rises. Travis is loaded into the ambulance, leaving behind the burning remains of the drug house. He survived the fire and the bullet, but the cost of his revenge is written in the blood on the stretcher. A construction scaffold collapses, trapping 7-month pregnant Stacy under heavy timber and metal debris. Chicago Fire Department Squad 3 arrives at a scene where the remaining structure is visibly unstable. Lieutenant Pelham orders the aerial ladder to be positioned directly over the collapsed site. Firefighters secure the ladder to the building facade to provide a high-altitude anchor and prevent a secondary cave-in. Joe crawls into the narrow gap to reach Stacy. She is pinned and terrified. To prevent her from falling into shock, Joe initiates a conversation about his own newborn son. He uses the mundane details of fatherhood to keep her conscious and focused on her own baby's survival. Above them, the crew uses power saws to cut through twisted steel. Every vibration risks a total structural failure. Joe and the team carefully slide a backboard under Stacy to stabilize her spine and prevent secondary injuries. They secure her with rescue ropes and extract her from the wreckage seconds before the remaining scaffold groans and drops. Paramedics confirm the baby's heartbeat is steady. Later, Joe visits Stacy's apartment to return the bag she lost during the rescue. He notices her empty living room and realizes she is unprepared for the birth. Back at the station, Joe mobilizes the squad to donate essential baby gear. They arrive at her door with a crib, clothes, and supplies. Joe hands her a small, knitted Squad 3 hat. He tells her that bringing a loved child into the world is the only thing that truly matters. Stacy watches as the men who saved her life ensure her son has a future.
Gabby Dawson stands in a supermarket aisle when a man approaches her. He pulls back his sleeve to reveal raw, unhealed burn scars. He asks for medicine, then leans in. He tells Dawson that Firehouse 51 plays God, choosing who survives and who burns. The threat is quiet and direct. Shortly after, the team responds to a residential call and discovers a dead body. It is the landlord of a building linked to a previous fire. Austin investigates to search a locker and recover the anarchist cookbook, alongside evidence of bomb making. The suspect is Eddie Owens, a man the crew could not save in a past blaze. He is now a fugitive. A report places Owens at a medical clinic, drawing police away from the station. It is a decoy. Owens paid a drug addict to lure the authorities into a trap. Meanwhile, a gas leak alarm sends Station 51 to a derelict warehouse. They find the interior rigged with fertilizer bombs wired to remote detonators. The chemicals are unstable, and the building is a kill zone. Matt Casey moves through the smoke and and finds Owens waiting with a handgun. Owens opens fire, forcing the firefighters to take cover behind mannequins. Outside, the squad pumps water into the barrels to neutralize the chemical reaction. Inside, Casey tracks the muzzle flashes. He closes the distance and tackles Owens, pinning the gunman to the concrete. The detonator falls from Owens' hand. The team drags the bomber into the street as police cruisers surround the perimeter. The revenge plot ends in handcuffs. Herman and his team arrive at a Chicago bridge where a car sits overturned and smoking. He finds a boy named Hogan trapped inside the wreckage. Hogan is bleeding and terrified, but he is fixated on his baseball cards, which are scattered and ruined in the debris. Herman pulls the boy from the vehicle just before the fire spreads. At the hospital, the situation turns critical. Doctors administer Compazine to Hogan to treat nausea caused by his pain medication. Suddenly, Hogan's body seizes. His eyes roll back into his head, and he stops breathing. The heart monitor emits a continuous alarm. Herman watches from the corner as the medical team rushes to the bedside. The doctor identifies a rare, life-threatening reaction to the drug. She calls for an immediate dose of diphenhydramine. They inject the medication directly into Hogan's IV. After a tense silence, Hogan's chest begins to move again. His heart rate stabilizes on the monitor. Despite surviving the crash and the reaction, Hogan remains quiet, mourning his destroyed collection. Herman enters the room later that day with a surprise. MLB star Chris Bryant walks to the bedside. He takes a marker and signs Hogan's arm cast, replacing the lost cards with a new memory. Herman stands in the doorway, watching the boys smile before the sirens call the team back to the streets. Hogan is alive, and his dream is rebuilt.
Chief Bowden enters a burning kitchen and pulls Jasmine through the smoke. 30 years have passed since they were last together. On the sidewalk, Jasmine remains guarded and refuses to explain how the fire started. Later, Casey and Severide report their findings at the station. The bedroom had been ransacked, the bathroom door spindle was snapped off from the outside, trapping Jasmine in the path of the fire. Bowden realizes Jasmine is covering for someone. He calls her, but she tells him to stay away from her home. Bowden ignores the warning and drives to her residence after dark. He hears shouting and forces his way inside. He finds Jasmine's son, Dex, pointing a revolver at her chest. Dex is in withdrawal, his hands shaking as he demands money. Bowden walks directly toward the barrel of the gun. He does not call for backup. He stands in the line of fire and talks about his history with Jasmine, using his voice to steady the room. He closes the gap and strips the weapon from the boy's hand. Jasmine collapses, pleading with Bowden to keep the police away. She fears her son will be lost to the prison system. Bowden takes control of the situation. He hauls Dex into his vehicle and drives him to a private rehabilitation facility on the south side. He forces the boy into a secure program, bypassing the legal system to settle a 30-year-old debt. He leaves Jasmine safe, having traded a criminal record for a chance at sobriety.